take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. We got to keep it moving. We got to never stop. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top.
Hey guys, I'm the Black Pearl and welcome to the latest episode of My Future, My Career.
And I am Zola. My Future, My Career is proudly brought to you by Nedbank.
Now this Nedbank initiative is aimed at equipping you with tools to make informed choices when it comes to choosing your career.
Yes, so we'll take an in-depth look at different careers, what they entail, and we chat to industry experts in different career fields.
Today we are talking about communications, something we all do every single day, some more than others.
Yep, we can't help but talk to people about everything, whether it's sharing the latest scoop, complaining about those little things that bug us, or solving a major problem. But guys, did you know that you can become a professional communicator?
Think about it. People who work in advertising communicate with the public about new products and special offers. Journalists communicate with readers about news and opinions. Public relations experts communicate with clients and stakeholders about a company's strategy.
Hey, what about us? I mean, we talk for a living. So if you are good with words or images, now the communication sector could be a dynamic, creative, and exciting place to work.
Of course. Now today we are going to have a look at some of the careers that you can pursue in communications. And we've got some guests in the studio to help us get a better understanding of the industry.
Let's get into it.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
We kick off with a special message from the man himself, Mike Brown, CEO of Nedbank.
If you plan carefully, set goals for yourself, and then work hard to achieve these, you can be anything you want to be.
Then we chat to Ludi Kukamur, who is grooming some of the best creative minds at AAA School of Advertising.
Advertising is one of those careers where whatever you work on, you're going to see it.
And later in the show, we get some top tips from the fairy godmother.
What I do is I teach people how to turn their dreams into reality.
All that and more on the show today.
Now, do you have big dreams of pursuing your ideal career but don't have the financial means?
Well, check out the bursary info in your booklet to find out the many ways in which you can get funds to study.
Yes, let's get to it then. Check this out.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Hello, my name is Mike Brown, and I'm the CEO or Chief Executive Officer of Nedbank. And I'm here today to talk to you about careers. Selecting a career for yourself can be a very confusing process. Now that you are in secondary school, you are expected to begin carving a path for your future. The difficulty is that at this point in your life, some of you might not have enough information or experience to make the right choice, and careers themselves are changing rapidly as technology evolves. I was fortunate enough to pursue a career I felt passionately about, but I was in a way lucky to start down the right path. Influenced more by what some friends were doing and what my parents thought than through any formal career guidance. After school, I completed a Bachelor of Commerce degree, followed by a diploma in accountancy, and finally qualified as a chartered accountant with Deloitte in the early 1990s. After 17 years in the banking industry, I have achieved a milestone in my career, to have the privilege of leading a proud organization that traces its history back to the 1830s. I say fortunate because I believe that I am the exception, not the rule. To help you become the exception and not the rule, we have launched the My Future, My Career initiative. Through a series of interviews with industry professionals and educational specialists, we hope to paint a clear picture of a wide range of careers available to you, so you don't just follow your friends like I did. To complement the series, we will also be providing each of you with a booklet containing national curriculum information, career information, places to study, and bursary information. These tools will assist you in making an informed choice that will point you in the right direction to match your skills, aptitudes, and passions to market opportunities and get you started on your selected path. Nedbank's slogan is "Make Things Happen." This applies not only to the bank, but to each of you in your own lives. So use the valuable information you will receive today to plan out your own future and make it happen. If you plan carefully, set goals for yourself, and then work hard to achieve these, you can be anything you want to be. Take every opportunity you have and don't be afraid to be ambitious. Who knows, you may even be the CEO of Nedbank one day. Or maybe you have already set your goals even higher.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
When it comes to marketing and advertising, Ludi Kukamur has done it all.
Yes, he has. From planning big corporate strategies, writing numerous books, judging competitions, teaching at universities in the USA, and now strategically heading up AAA, one of South Africa's most distinguished schools in advertising.
Welcome, Ludi.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now, you are the principal of the AAA School of Advertising. Firstly, I want to ask, why the name AAA? What does it stand for?
AAA stands for the Association of Advertising Agencies, and the AAA owns the AAA School of Advertising. But in the early days, it was called the AAA. Now, in fact, the professional body is called the ACA, the Association for Communication and Advertising. But we still call it the AAA School of Advertising.
Now, Ludi, why is it important to study advertising? Like, can't I just go to an agency and say, hi, I've got this cool idea for a toothpaste ad? Can't you just do that?
You can. You can. You
Really?
obviously can. Of course. There are many, many people in advertising who never went through formal studies because they have the raw talent. They have the ability to think creatively. And that's what you actually need. But like with any career, you need to study in a particular direction because there are many. You can study on the creative side, you can study on the marketing side, the production side, so you really have to study that.
Okay, now, Ludi, what sort of subjects would one need to study at school in order to venture into an advertising course?
If you're on the creative side, it's obviously better to start to study art as a subject, because if you have 5 years of art education, then it will really help you to get into advertising. But it's not essential, because what we are looking for is raw talent, and art, of course, is a plus.
AAA is a private college, right? What is the difference between studying in an institution like AAA or a university?
There is a fundamental difference. At any university, per definition, you will study all the theory. So you will get a lot of knowledge on the what is. Whereas at AAA, we do theory, which is knowledge, and skills. Because what we do is we prepare our students to be career ready for a career in advertising.
Okay, now, I'm imagining it's advertising. It must be a creative environment. Can you give me a typical day in an advertising agency?
It's an exciting, vibrant environment. The clients are in and out. We used to say, and we still say, our machines go up and down the lift every day. So you work with people. And the people are weird, wonderful, creative. They are excited. They are innovative. They come with new ideas all the time. So it's a very creative, innovative environment.
Wow, Ludi, now advertising sounds very broad. Let's get into the creative things of the mix. You get graphic designers and art directors. What would an art director do on a day-to-day basis?
An art director actually works on television and print advertising and outdoor advertising. They're the ones who come up with the ideas. In other words, they think in terms of pictures. Graphic designers work with computers every day, and they design corporate images, they design logos, they design labels, they design all kinds of design issues.
Now, Ludi, of course, pictures need words, and that's where a copywriter comes in, right? So what are the responsibilities of a copywriter?
Okay, a copywriter is somebody who is skilled with words. They can play with words. They can come up with beautiful words. They're the ones where the art director will come up with the pictures, and then the copywriter will say, but how can we best say this in words? So they will come up with the headlines, the body copy, the slogans, all the beautiful words that are used in the advertising.
Ludi, let's get into the marketing side of things. What is the difference between the marketing team and the creative team?
The creative team will come up with the creative executions. In other words, the art direction, the copywriting, the graphic design side of it. The marketing team are the people who are like the backroom people. They will do all the strategic planning. They will conduct research. They will come up with consumer insights. And they will do the brand plan. They will write the creative strategy and the communication strategy. And then the creative people will execute that strategy.
Yeah, now a lot of people want fulfillment in their jobs, because we spend most of our time at work. So is advertising a rewarding career if I really want to get into it?
In fact, it's one of the most rewarding careers that you can ever imagine. Most people work and they never see the end result of their work. They just push paper, They sit behind desks and nothing really culminates into something tangible. Advertising is one of those careers where whatever you work on, you're going to see it. It will be your TV commercial. It will be in your magazine advertisement. You can listen to it on the radio. It actually comes and it becomes very tangible, and that is extremely fulfilling.
Now, is it easy to find a job in advertising, or is it a tough world up there?
It's not easy if you just rock up at the agency and say, I've got the school idea for Colgate.
Yeah.
But if you come through the formal channels of a good advertising school like the AAA, and you are schooled for 3 years and you end up with a degree in advertising, and you do your internship, which we organize for you, then you will get into advertising.
So you are guaranteed a job after graduating?
Guaranteed is a little bit harsh to say, but the history of the AAA over the last 20 years is that 87% of our graduates actually end up with a job.
Nice.
Now, Ludi, what advice would you give to people watching right now and they want to get into advertising?
I would say, first of all, consider advertising as a career. And I know it's not on the shopping list for many, many people, because many people think engineer, nurse, teacher, those kind of careers. Advertising is an extremely fulfilling career, but it's also a challenging career. It's a complex career in the sense that you're going to work very hard. You must be creative all the time, and that's not too easy. And then, of course, you are going to be poor in the first year or two, because the ad industry will keep you poor and humble until you succeed and until you prove yourself, and then you will fly. But you've got to come through the channels of formal education through an advertising school like the AAA.
Yeah, now is it an international qualification?
Yes, we are the only private institution in Africa that are internationally accredited. As you have, for every country, you have a professional body for the advertising industry. And in this country, it is the ACA. And we used to be called the AAA, as I said earlier. The international body is called the IAA. And AAA has been associated since the early 80s and accredited by the IAA in New York, USA.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ludi.
Thank you.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
Now let's see if you can solve this.
Is the following statement true or false?
To become an art director, you need to take art as a subject in school. The answer coming up just a little later.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
After the break, do you love the limelight and know how to make it count? Well, our next guest could mark out a career that's just for you.
Yes, all of that right here on My Future, My Career, brought to you by Nedbank. You don't want to miss it.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Our course wasn't perfectly trimmed. There were no greenkeepers, or sprinklers, or even grass for that matter. On our course, the hazards were real. Some might say it wasn't a course at all. But when you've played where we have, you know the true value of those who can make things happen. Nedbank.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Before the break, we wanted to know whether the following statement was true or false. To become an art director, you need to take art as a subject in school.
And the answer is false, okay? Although doing art at school would help you once you get into advertising school, it is not compulsory. Now, all you need to do is make sure that you get your matric certificate, and that's it. Just pass.
Yes, you do that, but maybe you're not the arty type, but you love words. Well, our next guest will discuss exciting options that could be just for you.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Renee is a lecturer at the University of Johannesburg in the Department of Communication. Now, she holds an MTech in Public Relations Management and has over 24 years of both academic and industry experience.
Now with her is Kagiso, a student in his 3rd year at UJ. Now he'll give us the lowdown on campus life and what it takes to not only survive, but thrive.
Yes, welcome, welcome. Now, Renee, please tell me about the UJ School of Communication. What sort of courses do you teach?
Well, the School of Communication at UJ teaches a large variety of courses. It's really geared for anyone that would like to study anything in communication. It ranges from an extended diploma in public relations, a diploma in public relations, which is 3 years studies, and then also our degree programs, a BA in corporate communication, a BA in journalism, audiovisual and marketing communication.
Now, Renee, let's take an in-depth look at some career choices that you have there. You mentioned something about public relations.
That's right.
Now, what is PR and how would someone go about doing it?
Well, public relations is all about, communicating and building relationships with people, from your individual organization or with the message that you would like to send out. You would then create a relationship with the people, the audiences that you would like to communicate with. And then we'll develop those messages and communicate it suitably and effectively to those audiences.
Now, Renee, what subjects would a learner cover when they do their public relations course?
The public relations course obviously will have public relations as the major. Then you will also have communication and you will have media studies, because it's important that we know how the media works in public relations. And then other subjects such as writing for PR or, the writing and English is very important. So it's a mixture of developing vocational qualification and competencies to get our students really out and ready for the market when they qualify.
Beautiful, Renee. So what type of a person would enjoy a career in PR?
Somebody that can work very hard, is committed, and that is really a characteristic and a quality for any student studying communication. But a public relations student really needs to be enthusiastic about what they want to do, and about communication and about the organization, and inquisitive and really interested in the world around them, and public, whatever happens around you, public interest, current events, and then be able to actually really understand and develop the ability to understand other people, and then design messages for that you will then use to communicate the message of the organization that you are representing.
Awesome. And then there's journalism, which I find to be very exciting. Working for a newspaper, a magazine, that must be fun. But is it as glamorous as it seems?
No.
No?
If you look at the tribunal issues at the moment, it's not glamorous. But journalism is a very, very interesting career. You need to have interest in what happens around you, a good listener, a good observer. You need to be able to write well. You obviously need to give them the impression and the message across of what is happening that you observed, and that we need good writers for. As the previous editor of the Washington Post said, good communicators and good journalists are actually the guys who writes the first drafts of history. So it's very important that you understand that you need to work around what is happening around you, observe, get the information, investigate. You get the opportunity to really be at the first, at the front line of events. Many of our journalists will be the first people to be invited to events, sit at the front seat and observe and be able to ask the questions and so forth. So it's not a glamorous, but it is a very rewarding in many cases. The glamour comes in when you are seeing your first article being published.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That is when it becomes very rewarding and very glamorous.
Nice.
Wow, imagine an article by Pearl Modiadi. Now, Renee.
Dude. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Soon.
Very soon. Now, Renee, what would you learn during this journalism course?
Journalism will actually introduce you to what the role of the media is in the society, how media operates, what kind of media houses we have, your print media, your traditional media, your social media, new media, all of the various aspects of media, and then obviously how to write for the media.
Now, Renee, you also have a general course in communications. What would you learn in this course?
The core communication subject forms part of all the qualifications in communication offered by the School of Communication at UJ. Now, what is important is that you will then investigate, and with communication, we believe that it's the core of everything that goes, that people, doesn't matter what kind of career you go in, we need that basic ability and quality to communicate effectively. So in all our qualifications, we have communication, and that really takes you from how we communicate with individuals to groups, mass communication, political, public communication. The whole spectrum of communication is covered in all our various specialization fields.
Yeah, now obviously, you know, we don't want to study forever. We have to work at some point. So where could a graduate in communications work?
Well, a graduate in communication and, you know, with our various specialization fields would more or less guide somebody in terms of where they are going. So somebody studying BA corporate communication would, for instance, be, you know, geared towards and qualified to study and work as a corporate communication manager or a internal communication manager. Then you will have your PR, somebody with a national diploma in public relations would be then working as a PR assistant, a PR manager, a PR director, internal communication, a wide range, just to name but a few of the qualifications and careers that somebody can start. Your journalism, your audiovisual, marketing com, all of that will gear you and qualify you to work in those various areas.
Now, what kind of jobs do your graduates get?
Of marketing communication, they would be your brand managers, your researchers, your creative advertising guys going into the companies, doing your marketing communication for a client within your organization. It's a wide range of marketing communication responsibilities and careers that's available out there, account managers, etc.
Now, Kagiso, you are a third-year student in the faculty. What exactly are you studying?
I'm studying a BA in corporate communication and I major in journalism.
Nice. And then after you graduate, what are you going to do?
I'll probably do my honors.
Wow. Okay, so you're not going to go straight into the workforce?
I will. I'm planning to do my honors part-time, depending if I find a good job or not.
Oh, okay.
But now, what made you choose this field?
I've always wanted something I could speak and sell more than count, so I couldn't run into finance or anything. So I chose communication because it was more me. You have to choose something that suits your personality.
Now, Kagiso, you obviously had some preconceived ideas about what you would be studying. Now, is there anything that sort of took you by surprise when you started studying?
Yes, there is. When you go and study, they don't really tell you how to study. We were never ever taught how to study. No one is actually, even in high school. So when you come here, the workload is much more. And that actually scares you because you don't know where to study, what to start studying, and it becomes very, very hard.
Now, we study for a reason, and that is to work and have the job of our lives. So now I want to know, where do you see yourself working after finishing your studies?
I'd like to work in a small media agency because the smaller the company is, the more experience you'll get because there's not that many people in your department. And then maybe later on one day I'd like to head a communication department in a big firm.
Now back to you, Renee. You know, although the courses are quite different, they have a central theme of communications. So what should a learner in high school study? What subjects should they be taking to prepare themselves for a course in communications?
I think all your basic subjects that are offered at school level is of importance, but obviously your English is very important. And it's important to remember that English, we require at least a 4 to a 5 symbol, or, you know, or value on your APS count to qualify for any qualification in communication.
Now, Renee, clearly you've got a lot of applicants coming through to your faculty. What exactly do you look for when selecting an entry to come through and study a course?
good academic marks. It's a reality, unfortunately, because of all the thousands that we have, applying to the university for a qualification in communication. We do not have the opportunity at this stage to test and interview each individual. So at this stage, we need to have you need to have good marks in matric to qualify to get those sought after positions in the School of Communication.
Now, Kagiso, is it hard to stay in university, and what's the workload like?
Yes, it's very hard to stay in university, especially in your first and your last year. First year, because you don't know what to expect, and everything around you is just changing the environment, and no one really knows you, or you're just a student number. And then in third year, it's tough because you really have to decide if you really want to go the whole way, or you want to go work, or you want to drop out. So that's when the challenges come in your first and your third year, I think.
You mentioned a lot of challenges that you have to deal with in first year. What are those?
Time. Time is the most biggest challenge you'll ever come across. Time. You have to be with your friends, you meet new friends, you have to go to class. You're not forced to go to class now, so you can go to class, you can skip it.
So you need a lot of discipline,
So
actually.
you need a lot of discipline as well.
Yeah.
There's a place called a library you can attend. You can go there if you want. You don't have to. And yeah, that's it. And there's sports and stuff. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you have to do in one day.
And I want to know about the best part of being in university.
The best part of being in university is doing your own thing. You're basically independent now. You can go out, you can party if you want to party. You don't have to go to class, as I said. You can do anything in a day. You can just sleep if you want.
But that is not an option.
No, it's
right?
not an option, though.
But your studies are going to suffer.
Yeah,
and all that money that your parents paid.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, Kagiso, you are also a house committee chairman of YORES. Would you say your studies have also helped you to get to this position?
And congratulations
Yeah.
for
Thank
that,
you.
actually.
Thank you very much. Yes, your studies do help. Communications plays a huge role in a residence, especially if you running it. It's a lot. It's very demanding, I must say, but you need a lot of discipline and sacrifice. You need to sacrifice some things.
So you are running the res.
Yes.
So they pay you.
Yes.
Yay!
Wow.
So you study and you get paid at the same time.
Yes.
That is wonderful. Now, what advice would you give to a learner who's thinking about coming to UJ?
Good choice. It's a good choice. We have a very good school. It's very interesting. The atmosphere, the environment, the people, very diverse cultures as well. It's a good place to come study, but at the same time, you should know what you want. Do your research on what you want to study, where you want to be. Always trust in yourself. Remember who you are.
And Renee, finally, any words of advice to prospective students out there?
Be committed, know what you want to achieve with your studies, which career you would like to go into. If you don't know, make it your business to find out. Be in class, be committed. As Kagiso said, you don't have to be in class, but you really will be at a disadvantage if you do not attend your lectures. And they are there to help you. So enjoy the lectures, make the most of them, but also enjoy a balanced student life. Go and party, go and enjoy yourself, but also study hard.
Yes, some nice
Renee,
advice. Thank you.
Kagiso, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Wow, guys, now if you need a bit of inspiration to make your career choice, let's hear what the fairy godmother has to say.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
My name is Donna McCallum, and I am a fantastically fabulous and magical fairy godmother. In each of these episodes, I will be covering one of the 10 tips in more detail. And just so that you don't miss out, here are the 10 tips. Tip number 1, be authentic. Tip 2, play to your strengths. Tip 3, have fun. Do what you love and love what you do. Tip 4, it's your choice. Tip 5, learn to learn. Tip number 6 is dream big. Tip number 7, take action. Tip number 8, overcome your fears. Tip 9, build support around you. And tip 10, gratitude. Today's tip is tip number 5, learn to learn. Did you know that the top 10 in-demand jobs in 2010 did not exist in 2004? We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't exist using technologies that haven't been invented in order to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet. The Department of Labour estimates that you will have between 10 to 14 jobs by the age of 38. We are living in fast-paced times where there's incredible change and technological advancement, which means that much of which you study now will be outdated in a few years' time. There is so much information and more is being created every day in this information age. The key to thrive and to be extraordinary in these exponential times is to learn how to learn. Some of you may learn best through reading, some of you through conversation with others. Some of you may learn best through watching YouTube videos or surfing the net. Learn how you best learn and then relearn and keep learning for the rest of your life. When it comes to career choices, get clear on your dreams and passions and then go out and learn all that you can about the jobs that match those. Just watching this movie, you will learn a lot, but also go down to the internet, Google the profession that you want to be part of and read what it's all about. Speak to your teachers, ask them about that profession. Find people in your community that do that job and speak to them. Visit universities and technikons and ask them for information. Learn all about the profession you want to pursue and whether it's right for you. And if it doesn't feel right, then go and learn about another career. Don't make a career choice just because it's the only one you know about or because your friends are doing it. Explore, discover, and find out about this incredible world of possibilities that is out there waiting for you.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
Phumeza completed her National Diploma in Public Relations and Communications at the University of Johannesburg and is currently studying towards her honours in Corporate Communications with UNISA.
Yes, she's currently a junior consultant at one of South Africa's leading consultancies and has been working for various clients from hospitality to technology. Now, she also produces online publications and is a part of her organization's internal communication programs.
Welcome.
Awesome.
Welcome, Phumeza.
Thank you very much.
Now, Phumeza, you graduated with a National Diploma in Public Relations and Communications, and now you're studying for your honours in Corporate Communications. Why is communication so important?
I believe that communication is important because we do it every day. What you guys are doing now is communicating. And in order to get your message across, you have to speak to another individual. You have to know what you want to say, when you want to say it, and how you want to say it. So when you guys are communicating with the viewers at home, you're communicating with me, you have your message and you know what you want to say, and you send it out there. And how they receive it is one way. And the other, you just need to package it in a certain way that you want them to say, okay, well, this is what they're saying, and I understand it this way, let me act on it.
Wow. Now, Phumeza, let's take you back to you, Jay. Tell us about your experience. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. It was really, really crazy because I think it's a difference between a degree and national diploma. So when you're doing a diploma, you have a lot of experience that gets thrown at you, practical. So it's not just the academic side of it. So you have to try and balance with the academic side and getting the really good grades, but also getting that practical experience, whether it's volunteering at university or with your departments. So you need to just try and find a way to balance it both, and I try to do that. It was great.
Now, what was it like moving from an academic environment to the working field?
Very difficult, but it was very exciting as well, because that's what you want to do when you study. You want to get out there into the field and prove yourself and put into practice all the things that you've learned and you've been preparing for. And all that swatting that you do for the exams, you're thinking, oh my word, what am I going to be doing with this? But you actually start doing that when you go into the industry. Mm-hmm. Getting into industry is really hard because you're thinking, okay, well, what do I know? Do I know enough? And once I get into industry, can I really prove myself and do what I need to do? But once you get into it, you're like a fish to water. But you're really nervous about it, but you need to just go in there, do your thing, feel confident, and just learn all the time, because that's what you do. You're always learning.
Now, Phumeza, you are a consultant. So what sort of things do you do as part of your job?
Lots of media relations, speaking to the media, inviting media to any client functions, whether it's sending them products to test and give reviews on. Also feature tracking, just to find out opportunities in publications that we can suggest to our clients to participate in.
And what skills do you need to be very successful in your field?
Wow, to be very successful,
yes.
Guts. Guts, determination, and a willingness to learn. Because if you go in there thinking that you know it all, you're going to get cut down to size, and someone's going to say to you, well, listen, sweetie, you don't know it all. You need to go in there with an open mind, be able to take direction, but also have initiative and say, well, this is what I want to try out. Why don't we do something like this? Why don't I say, I want to try to do this? And you run with it. I mean, prove yourself, because that's what you need to do. You need to always prove yourself, always be willing to step forward and say, how about we do this? We can do this because it's your future, it's your career. No one can take you in the particular direction that you want to go in. You need to say, this is where I want to go to and move forward.
Now, earlier on, you spoke about writing for different publications as part of your job. Is it all about writing, or is there more to it?
Writing is one of the things that it's really important. You can't get away from it. I thought that I could get away from mathematics and accounting, but you need to know a bit of numbers in terms of doing budgets and everything. But writing is something that's important, and you need to be able to not only speak the language, but also know how to communicate in the written word, because a lot of it, what we do is writing. So when you have a good knowledge base and understanding on how to write and understanding a good command of the language, then you'll be fine. But it is a start and is important.
Now, what role does modern technology and social media like Facebook and Twitter play in corporate communications?
A very big and important role. A lot of organizations have a tendency to actually ignore it, and they're thinking, well, it's out there, so it doesn't really matter for us. But it actually does matter for an organization and to a brand and to a company, because when you embrace those technologies and those social media tools, you can actually take the power and say, okay, well, this is how we want our brand to be out there. This is how we want to communicate with consumers and to people who are loyal to us. So use those tools before someone else says, well, I think that brand X, Y, and Z sucks. You can say, well, this is my brand, this is our organization, this is what we stand for, and put your message out there.
Yeah, nice. Now, but what's the plan? What is the dream for you?
My dream has changed from when I started doing PR.
Wow.
I've had times when I thought, okay, well, this is the plan, but I would like to eventually get my master's in marketing communication at some point. Right now, I just want to do the corporate communication honors, but I would actually like to move into the corporate social responsibility side and also do a bit of media and communications law. So I don't know how the steps are going to really work out and which one's going to start out first, but right now, let me just do the honors and I'll take it forward from there.
Yeah, now people usually stress about finding a job after studying. Is it easy to find a job, or is it very competitive out there? What's the story?
It is competitive. Our profession, the industry, communications industry, is very, very competitive. No matter which area of communications you look at, whether it's what you guys do, or whether what I do, or it's brand management, or it's advertising, communications, it is all very competitive because everybody out there says, well, I'm going to go there, I'm going to prove myself, and I've got what it takes. And it's not just me, it's not just you two, it's not anybody else who's out there. Everybody says, okay, well, this is what I want to do, let me do it. There are thousands of students. When you leave in university and you graduate and you've got your diploma, you've got your degree, you're thinking, awesome.
Yeah.
You're not the only one who did that diploma, you're not the
Exactly.
only one who did that degree. So you need to say, how am I going to do what I need to do? How am I going to get that job that I want? Whether it's that first job that you get, sometimes that first interview that you go to, the company that you want to get into, you may not get there. But don't say, okay, well, my life is over. Take the next opportunity, whatever job comes afterwards. Use that as a platform to get to where you need to get to. And go back to that first job where you say, okay, well, I was here like 5 years ago. But, things didn't work out, but I'm back here, and this is what I can bring to the table. Do your research. Communications is a wide field. Find out where in communications you'd like to be. Do your research, find out who the big players, who the small ones who are coming into the industry, because it's not just the big companies that you can start out there. There are those small to medium-sized businesses that where you get into it, you're thinking, okay, well, you know what, there's nothing much I can do here, but there's plenty that you can do in there. So know which companies are out there, know where you want to be, and start making contacts. I mean, don't wait until you need to start sending out your CV the day after graduation. Start before you graduate. I mean, summer vacation, don't chill on the beach. I'm not saying don't go to Durban and Cape Town, wherever else. Go during the holidays, but know that, okay, well, in July, what am I going to be doing? I need to do something.
Yeah.
So go out there, volunteer. I mean, it doesn't always have to come down to having a paycheck. Just go out there, volunteer, get some experience behind you, because they will ask you, what experience do you have? And you can't sit there and smile pretty.
True.
You need to say, okay, well, I've done X, Y, and Z. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just anything that says to you, the people that are employing you, who are thinking about employing you, saying you're willing to learn, and no matter what you need to do, you'll get there. I mean, just learn and enjoy it.
Nice.
Wise words from a wise, pretty lady. Thank you so
Of
much.
course, of course. Thank you very much, Pameza.
We got to keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
before we go to the break, let's give our brain some exercise with this week's brain teaser.
Yes, there is one word in the English language that is always pronounced incorrectly. What is it?
Hey, think about it. The answer coming up after this.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
Up next, Tabby Tsengiwe, Nedbank's head of group communications.
And later, we take a look at how an advertising agency puts an ad campaign together.
See you after that.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
It's happened 600 times in the last century alone. When spiraling winds gather up water masses, it's a strange storm that follows. In extraordinary times, it's your approach that matters. Nedbank Capital.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
The show has been great so far, and we hope you're learning a lot. Yeah, Zola?
Most definitely, Pearl. Now with us now is Nedbank's head of group communications, Tabby Tsengiwe. Now, Tabby has more than 15 years experience in corporate communications, marketing and advertising fields.
Yes, of course, she has worked within the marketing teams of BMW, Mnet, MTN and Microsoft, from debuting various products tailored for the business and youth segments at MTN to spearheading the launch of South Africa's first reality show, Big Brother. Welcome, Tabby.
Thank you very much.
Now, Tabby, as we said, you are part of the Nedbank Group Communications Division. Tell us about your department. What exactly do you do?
Well, it depends how long you've got, but we could be here all day. The division basically are the custodians of what we refer to as the group's reputation. We are about managing the reputation of the bank and ensuring that everything that is communicated by the bank aligns to whatever it is we are trying to portray in terms of our positioning, and certainly that there's a golden thread message in whatever it is that we say. So the company's reputation pretty much is quite a costly thing. Although it's intangible, when you look at the bottom line, we rely on companies based on their reputation, and we will engage with companies based on our perception of their reputation. So that's primarily what the department is about. The practical side of that is certainly all-encompassing, which is why I was saying, how much time have you got?
Yeah.
It can go from your normal public relations work to eventing, to communications, to internal communications, communicating with the media, with journalists, communicating primarily though with your internal, with your staff, because in companies generally there is a tendency to overlook the importance of staff, and I think internal communications is a bigger component of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, what does your job as the divisional executive entail?
Sure. Because communication is actually a strategic function, I have to make sure that whatever it is that is produced from the department actually aligns with the company's strategy. And that can be anything. It ranges from what it is that the CEO would like to communicate to what it is that our HR director would like to communicate to our group technology side. So it really is an all-encompassing kind of job to make sure that the stories that we tell in the group communications department align with the overall company strategy and drive that.
Okay.
Now, Tabby, what do you think? Why do you think is it important for a company like Nedbank, a big company like Nedbank, to have a whole department just dedicated to communications?
Zola, I think companies, all companies, absolutely have to have communications department. The fact that I'm here today is communication. We're communicating to students what careers to choose. Everything we do in life is about communication. So a company without a communications department, or certainly a dedicated communications function, is probably dead in the water, because you absolutely have to communicate everything. You've got to tell your staff where you're going. You've got to tell them how you're going to get there. You've got to tell them them when you would like to get there. All of that is about communicating.
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship, you've got to communicate. You've got to communicate with your mom, your spouse, your children, your siblings, etc. So everything in life is about communication. So a company like Nedbank absolutely understands the importance of a communications function. With 27,000 employees, it would be very difficult for us not to have a communications function.
Now, is there a bigger picture? And if there is, who decides what that bigger picture should be?
So the bigger picture is certainly directed at the level of our Chief Executive Officer, and then it gets communicated down to the organization. But generally, there's also a downward, upwards kind of communication. So the person who guides it would absolutely be our Chief Executive Officer through his ExCo and the management of the company as well.
Tavi, please tell us more about the different careers available in your department.
There's various lines of communication that one could take. One could be internal communications, which is a highly specialized area. I think a lot of the banter and the talk around communication is very much taken for granted. But internal communications is a highly specialized area. There could be your online communication specialist, the person who's responsible for your intranet, for example. Now, there's a difference between your intranet and your internet. Your intranet is the network that you would use to communicate to your staff. So you could have someone that's responsible for overseeing that, and you've got someone for overseeing your internet, which is then your interface with the external environment. It could be people who are writers, for example, because if we're communicating with journalists, you've got to be able to write well, and you've got to have a good command of the English language. So it could be people who are editors, for example, who know how to edit in the different languages. South Africa has got 11 official languages. The banking industry is a regulated industry. We communicate with clients across all different languages. So we could need a translator, someone who can be able to translate into Tsonga, for example, which is highly specialized. It could be someone who is very much into this new media. So if you're a person who's like a techie and you want to use Twitter, you want to use Facebook, you could actually go into that line. So there's various areas that one could go into.
Yeah, lots actually, but with a lot of people involved, does everybody work well together?
Yes and no. I think it's like anything in life, really. You know, there are moments when we are we're under immense pressure and we're pushed for deadlines. So sometimes communication is a very highly deadline-driven community. So tensions do rise every now and then, but generally it's a very nice, funky environment because it's about being creative. And we're storytellers, essentially, but we're storytellers in a serious sense and sometimes in a very funny sense. So it just depends on who we're talking to.
Now, Tabby, does public relations and advertising form part of your division as well?
There is alignment between ourselves and advertising. Public relations is certainly part of our division. So there has got to be alignment between the communication side and the marketing side. The marketing people tell the brand story. They're responsible for the company's positioning. And what we do is we take whatever is being communicated on the marketing side and amplify that message. And I think on the communication side, we have a longer lifespan than what you would have typically on the marketing side, because marketing is very much campaign driven. Whereas on the communication side, we can tell that message and continue with that story for a much longer lifespan. So we're about making sure that there's a golden thread in whatever it is that we're relaying to whatever audience we're talking to at that particular point in time. And I'm going to keep making reference to this audience thing because the way in which I would communicate to a matric pupil, for example, would certainly differ to the way I would speak to the governor. So the kinds of messaging that you're getting across is completely different. The mediums that you would use are also different. And your tone is also quite different.
Now, if you were looking to hire somebody for a job, what personal qualities would you look for?
I would definitely look for someone who has got a positive attitude. And generally a people person. In the kind of area we're in, you can't really afford to be shy. Because most of what we do is about invading people's spaces and being comfortable with asking uncomfortable questions and also being comfortable with coming across as probably not knowledgeable may be stupid, because you've got to play the devil's advocate sometimes in the kinds of questions that you ask, because you're the one who has to tell the story. So you've got to make sure that whoever you're dealing with, the client that you're dealing with, understands the magnitude of the kind of messaging that you need to get across. So you absolutely have got to have a positive attitude, and, you know, be nice and be confident, be very, very confident.
Now, Tabby, are academic qualifications important?
Absolutely, they are important. You definitely must go and study in order to be in communications. There's all kinds of institutions you can go to for a qualification in communications. I personally went to Rhodes University. I studied a Bachelor of Journalism degree, and there's a difference between Bachelor of Journalism and BA Journalism. The one is a 4-year course and the one is a 3-year course. I mean, there are diplomas now that are being offered by colleges as well. So absolutely, you've got to make sure that you get the right academic qualification to be in the field.
Okay.
Now, earlier on you spoke about fun and games and structuring and being serious. What is the best thing you enjoy about your job?
I think it's when a story comes together and when the message is out there and when people start talking about it. That is very, very fulfilling.
Yeah, and what's the tough part about your job?
Managing people.
Really? Why are they difficult people?
I think generally as people, we are difficult beings. And I think managing people is extremely, extremely difficult.
Now, words of advice to learners sitting and watching this right now and want to get into communications and do what you're doing now.
I would absolutely say be open to learning. You can get the academic qualification, but sometimes that's just not enough. Be on the practical side of it, and remember that every day is a learning. If you're passionate about communications, start looking at what are the things, you know, that are important about being a communicator, and how should I be communicating? Because sometimes your message can be completely misread. You can be trying to say one thing and it just comes across completely differently. So it's also about being slightly perceptive to people's reactions, and sometimes just listen. Be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you can learn from just listening and not saying much.
I like that. Thank you very much, Tabby. Thank you so much. Now, before the break, we wanted to know the answer to this brain teaser.
There is one word in the English language that is always pronounced incorrectly. What is it?
Tabby, do you think you know what it is? Which word is always pronounced incorrectly in the English dictionary?
One word comes to mind.
What?
Is it privacy or privacy?
No.
Well,
it's not it. The correct answer is incorrectly. It's always pronounced incorrectly.
the word incorrectly. But thank you, Tabby. You are the superstar of the show.
You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
In this corner, all the way from Umtata, we have art director from Network BBDO, male model, Aquarian, saver of Wales, comedian, rapper and dancer, Donovan Goliath. He's been in the game for 4 years now and is pretty much married to it.
Now, Karen Carr is the Group Account Director at Network BBDO. She's giving away her age by admitting that she's been in advertising for 10 years. Her star sign is Libra, and so is mine. And she's been on diet since she got married, drives too fast, and claims her heart is all beagle for her puppy play-do.
Nakedi Rabuneta is the Senior Print Production Manager at Network BBDO. Now, it was only 2 years old when he joined. He loves his job and doesn't see himself doing any other job other than production.
They're going to give us the behind-the-scenes scoop on how an advertising agency works and how a campaign comes together from concept to completion. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Crazy people.
Yes. Now, you work for an award-winning ad agency network, BBDO. The big question here, how is it like working for the agency, and do you enjoy your work? Let's start with you, Nakedi.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing, and I would like to think it's glamorous.
Yeah.
But it's difficult as well. And I really enjoy what I'm doing. And I wouldn't think of changing it for anything.
It's our home away from home. It's our second family, and that's no reference to our working hours. We just love it.
Yeah. Now, what are the most challenging aspects of your job? Is it as glamorous as it sounds?
Oh, challenging would definitely be social media. When I started in advertising, there was only traditional media, where you were a bit of a monologue with the consumer, and now it's more of a dialogue. Obviously, daily our challenge is to create great work. that actually meets objectives. In terms of being glamorous, I must admit I think the days of glamour are over. Don't get me wrong, we work hard and we play hard, but and there's a couple of egos involved, but we're a bunch of down-to-earth people who do our jobs.
Now, Donovan, Karen mentioned a couple of egos and stresses. So I want you to describe the environment for me at the ad agency. Is it fun? Is it playful? What explain it.
It's definitely fun. It's super energetic. I think the one word to describe it is it's very spontaneous. You know, I don't think any of us can predict what a job's going to look like. We can't really tell, you know, if it's going to get made, if it's going to get produced. You know, so. In terms of egos, yes, there are. You know, it's a cutthroat industry. There are a lot of guys trying to win awards. You know, everybody's trying to better the next person's idea and things like that. But I think it's what keeps us going. You know, it's that drive. You know, that bar just gets raised further every minute, I guess.
Wow. Now, Zola mentioned that it's an award-winning agency. You know, so I want to find out about the different clients and campaigns that you've worked with in the past. Nakedi.
I think I've enjoyed working on one of the clients that I enjoyed working was Cell C. I worked on Cell C, and I think I enjoyed the challenge. And I worked on Total SA as well. And now I'm working on Chicken Licken, which I think is a great client as well. And AA. So we've got like a bunch of very, very good clients that we're working on.
Yes.
And it's a challenge almost every day. Like Donna said, you never know what you're going to be doing next. And Karen did say there are egos and all those things. Sometimes I feel like breaking Karen down, and I think she feels like that sometimes.
Now, you are a group account director. What does your job entail?
Sure, if I was to go into like generous detail about everything, we'd be sitting here for days. But to be totally honest, as client service, I represent the client to the agency and the agency to the client. My whole job is about making the work better. It's about presenting well, selling the work, growing my client service team that I work with. It's all about inspiring people, like radiating, not draining. Yeah. Having a healthy paranoia, you can never have too much of that. And basically, there's a lot of admin involved, but at the same time, you have a hell of a lot of fun doing all of it.
And for you, Donald, what does your job entail?
Well, I basically come up with the creative work. I'm responsible for what goes on TV, you know, what you see in magazines and things like that. So I'd get a brief from Karen, and it's my job to come up with whatever idea it's going to be. And I work very closely with Nakedi to try and make it happen.
And Nakedi, what does your job entail?
After getting, I'm the last line of defense. After getting everything from them, I need to get them best cost for client to make sure that it goes out to Donovan's satisfaction, obviously, and obviously the client, and get the cost, the best available cost for client and quality-wise as well. And just to make sure that the client is happy at the end of the day. So I'm getting all those costs, give them to Karen. She makes sure that they get signed, and then we get the job out. So that's what I'm saying. We are the last line of defense in production.
Now, Karen, tell us more about your studies and how you managed to work yourself up to your hot position.
Bit of an odd case, to be honest. Started with a file of my favorite ads in Standard 6, and I'd read Ogilvy and advertising by then. I studied BCom Marketing Management at Rao, and then the plan was to go to a AAA or a Vega School of Advertising and do a postgrad degree. And then also I wanted to do a graphic design course, but strangely enough, straight after I did my degree, I landed my first job in advertising, and I didn't study any further.
And what kind of person would enjoy your job?
Somebody that loves ads. I mean, obviously, they've got to be passionate about them. I mean, I watch ads more than TV programs. Somebody that seeks to understand and be understood, always trying to find new insights. Somebody that's good with people. Somebody that has a lot of patience, but at the same time has a healthy sense of urgency, and is attention to detail, crazy, and also, to be honest, a tad crazy themselves.
Now, can you tell us about your journey in advertising and why you chose print production?
Well, in my case, I didn't choose advertising. I just happened to be lucky to be there because I would think I grew up at Network in advertising. I didn't know anything about advertising. I was a driver, and I did filing, and then I was taught production, and then I just did some courses for production as well while growing up in that position.
Now, you're an art director. I love that job. So let's go around your typical day at work. How does it pan out?
Wow, where do I start? Well, I get to work quite early in the morning, just to avoid the rush of all the briefs coming in and traffic who handle all the briefs, so all my jobs in and out usually bombard me with those throughout the day. So I get to work quite early. You know, I read my mails. I go through a lot of blogs just to inspire me. I sort of catch up on jobs that I left the day before, just to see where I'm at and if there's anything fresh that's hit me overnight. But in a nutshell, I'll receive a brief. I read through it. I make sense of it, and then I start doing my research. You know, I mean, I go through asking myself questions. You know, who does this? Who is this? Who is this for? What is the target market? What is the LSM? You know, why are we doing this job? Is it going to be beneficial? You know, what is the budget? Is it print? Is it TV? You know, is it a 360 campaign? Is there an opportunity to do proactive work on it? You know, and that pretty much happens the whole day, amongst other briefs that keep coming in, and you know, old jobs that need to be disked and things like that. But fun, and like I said before, spontaneous. You know, I mean, I really never know what I'm going to be working on next, which is quite interesting. It makes quite well. It keeps me on my toes. You know.
And how did you become an art director?
Oof, how did I become an art director? Well, let's go back. I'm from yes, yeah. Let's go back to Mthatha. I'm from Mthatha, you know, and advertising, graphic design, words that are virtually non-existent. You know, I didn't know anything about it. I just loved to draw. I loved cutting up pictures and making my own ads, and I loved the typography on Sisnandi's Umngusho and Ilusu caravans. You know, it's just beautiful. I loved handwritten typography, and you know, I found out a little bit more about it, and I moved to PE and studied in PE for 4 years. I studied graphic design. It was tough. You know, my first year was difficult. Well, like I said, I mean, I didn't know anything about this career. So it was hard. I was going up against 80 people to make it through to the next 20 in second year, and I did it. At the end of my degree, I mailed my portfolio through to our former executive creative director. Shot in the dark, you know, I didn't contact them. I just said, I knew somebody there, and I said, dude, here's my portfolio. Have a look. This is what I do. It's not all advertising, you know, help me out. I got a call that afternoon, and they said, well, we think your work's cool. We'd like you to come and work here. Are you interested? Sweet. Cool. Yeah. 2 months later, well, I graduated, and 2 months later, 3 months later, actually, I flew up to Joburg, and that's where it all started.
Now, what would you say are some of the most important qualities one would need in order to become a successful art director?
Well, as cheesy as it sounds, I mean, passion. You know, you need to be passionate about this type of work. You definitely need to be creative. You know, you need to be a sponge. You need to absorb everything around you. You know, you can't just be interested in one form of creativity or one discipline. You know, music, fashion, the arts, theatre, movies, all of those things. You know, you need to kind of strip them down to their core and look at them differently, you know, above and beyond the average person.
Now, you all play different roles in the agency, you know, but do you tend to work separately, or is there collaboration between creative direction and production? We'll start with you, Nakedi.
We work separately, but then we are gonna end up meeting at the end of every brief, because Karen obviously get a brief from client and communicate with the client, come back to creative, make sure that thing gets done, and then they come back to me for production to make sure that the end product gets produced. So it's a team. There's a team effort, but we start individually.
Within the whole process, each individual has their own role to perform, but it is a collaborative effort. I mean, we don't work in isolation of each other. We perform our roles, but each role relies on each other to actually do their job properly. And I mean, Don doesn't work in isolation of his copywriter. I don't work in isolation of my accounts management team that works with me. Nakedi doesn't work in isolation of management. We all collaboratively work together to basically produce the best solution to client's business problem and the best quality.
And you, Donovan, what do you think?
In all honesty, there's no way I could work without Karen or without Nakedi, and vice versa, you know, which just proves that this is definitely a team effort. Even if it's just getting out one little TV ad or a big campaign, we need each other.
Now, Karen, what would be your advice to people watching right now and want to pursue a career in advertising?
Go for it. You'll love it. I mean, if you keen on an environment where no 5 minutes are ever the same, you thrive on chaos, go for it. It's an amazing, amazing environment that's ever-changing to work in.
Thank you so much, guys, for your wise words. We also do thrive in chaos. So Donovan, Karen, and Nakedi, thank you guys for being the superstars of the show.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Cool. Pleasure.
Keep it moving, make sure that we take it to the top.
And Finally, to complete our broadcast, we're joined by Tabile Adams, who's here from the University of Johannesburg Psychological Services and Career Development Department. Now, Tabile will run through some tools on how to choose the right career.
Yes, now this week Tabile will be dealing with the world of work and how the work environment impacts on the choices you make for your career.
So here is Tabile.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
What is the world of work? The world of work is a world that's also known as the marketplace. It's a world in which we get to match who we are, interests, abilities, values, personality with what we do. It's a world in which we spend most of our productive hours in our lives. It's a world in which we enter from the age of 16, 18 until the age of 65. What is a job? A job is a piece of work, either mental or physical, that is done as part of one's occupation for an agreed price. It is a post of employment and can be full-time, part-time position, or a contract. What is a career? A career is a person's progression or general course of action through life or through a phase of life, as in some profession or undertaking. An occupation or profession, often requiring special training, followed as one's life work. If we simplified these two definitions, we could say that work is any form of mental or physical exertion towards an expected outcome. A job is a piece of work for which one is paid or has a contract, and a career is a series of jobs which indicates progression and growth through one's lifetime. Did you know the world of work has changed over the past 10 years due to internationalization, technology, changing structures of organizations, and cultural diversity in the workplace? What are the requirements to get into the world of work? Depending on what you want to do and how quickly you want to do it, you may need specific requirements for some careers and at times not. Currently, the most minimum requirement is a grade 12 certificate. In some cases, a trade certificate, for example, an electrical trade certificate or boiler maker certificate. In some cases, for a medical degree, if you want to pursue a career as a doctor or an engineer, you will need an engineering degree, and so on and so forth. There are some cases which you do not require educational qualifications, and in this case, training can occur on the job. What type of work can one do? There are endless types of careers, and they can be grouped in various ways. Let's look at a few. There's natural resources, construction, finance, health services, educational services, physical sciences, the arts and culture, entertainment, recreation and sports, and finally hospitality. Obviously, there's a whole lot more which are not mentioned. There are many different work opportunities. Here are a few. Learnership. In a learnership, you learn as you earn. They combine theory and practice, which culminates in a recognized qualification within a specific field. The sector education and training authorities are responsible for learnerships, and the training is intended to prepare you for employment or self-employment. Volunteering. This is working without any form of payment. One benefits greatly from volunteering because you gain experience while empowering communities, and it may lead to many opportunities. Entrepreneurship. This is where you create your own opportunities and build a business. Entrepreneurs are people who are comfortable with uncertainty, taking risks, and are courageous. Low-paying service sector work. This is jobs such as cleaners, plastic packers, and construction workers. And finally, the other opportunity is high-skilled professional jobs. These require higher education and training. For example, engineers, psychologists, scientists, and so on and so forth. So, what does this mean for me as I prepare to enter the world of work? You need to understand there's lots of competition in the workplace, and you need to use all the skills which you have acquired throughout your lifetime. No one has a crystal ball to tell you what to do and how to do it, so you should take ownership for your own career choice process. This involves self-insight, researching, planning, goal setting, and reflecting. It's also important to consider all options and be flexible in order to achieve your career goals. How do I become employed? Once you've chosen a type of career, you need to start applying for work. Normally, this follows a process of looking for vacancies, applying by sending a covering letter and a CV, attending interviews, negotiating, and signing the contract. However, many people become employed through networking. Networking is a process of building relationships with people and exploring how you can benefit one another. Sometimes this leads to a person becoming employed by the other within the organization they work. How do I do job research? There are 4 kinds of ways: paper, PC, people, and participation. Paper involves printed information which you can get from the libraries, career centers, or bookstores, or newspapers. The PC, this is doing your research through the internet or online recruitment sites. People, this involves networking, and participation involves you going to the company to do job shadowing as well as volunteering in that company to discover, is this really what I want to do? How do I know if a job is right for me? Searching, gathering information may not be glamorous and it takes effort, but really, it's the best way to know what's best for you. When you make your final decision on your dream job, you will also know the reasons why this is the best job for you. Rather than assumptions based on your imagination, you'll have a solid reason why this is the best career for you in your field at this time. Often people talk about work ethics. What do they mean by this? Work ethics is belief in the moral benefit and importance of work, and it's an inherent ability to strengthen character. Employers expect their employees to have a good work ethic and be committed to the importance of the job. Poor work ethics is when one does not care about doing a job well because they do not value the importance of the outcome. How do we know what work will be meaningful to us? In order for us to feel work is important to us and strengthen our character, we need to possess self-insight and the ability to reflect. Self-insight assists us in making the right career choice. If we are to make a good choice, we are likely to find work fun, meaningful, and fulfilling. The ability to reflect enables one to continually evaluate and carefully consider our actions or our work so that we can begin to understand what gives us meaning in life, what we enjoy doing, and what we are good at. By reflecting, we can make good estimations of what will make us happy in the future. I hope this has helped you to understand the world of work a little better. Good luck in making the right career choice.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
I'm certain that the information and tools that you have received today will make a positive difference to your future and your career. As you sit here today, your most valuable asset by far is your future earnings stream, and that is your choice. My final advice to you is to use this information to the best of your ability. Go out there and ask questions, contact the appropriate people, investigate your options, and never give up. You are the master of your own destiny. Like Nedbank, you too can make things happen.
Make sure that we take it to the top.
If you enjoyed this week's broadcast, then please speak to your educator to find out more about the coming week's topic.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are back next week.
Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and hey, don't forget to register.
Really looking forward to seeing you.
We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it high. We got to keep it moving. Make sure that we take it to the top. We got to keep it moving.